Stand today, Mthokosizi Thwala. He, of course, was one of the people in the house the night that the football star was killed in 2014. So let's bring in our reporter who's been covering the case, Manqoba Mchunu. Thank you so much for your time. So before Thwala came to the stand, cross-examination of police cell phone expert Moses Mabasa continued. And, of course, he and his colleague, Lambertus Steyn, absolutely fascinating information coming out. The cell phones, showing that these five men communicated with each other before the death, but also, crucially, that accused number 5 placed 2 calls to the phone identified as Kelly Khumalo's phone. But also yesterday, it was the issue of the photographs, which was absolutely startling. Photographs of bundles of cash. This is accused number 3. His guns, etc., etc. So pick up the story and what happened today with cross-examination.
Well, so we got to hear from cross-examination, and really I think most of the advocates, or the defense advocates, did not have any questions for this particular witness. I think the pressure was on the lawyers for accused number 3, Mthokosizi, to actually try and discredit some of the information and some of the evidence that had been laid from the 2 cell phone analysts. Of course, it's damning, Sally, because it suggests that accused number 3 may have been the man that had dreadlocks and the intruder that we've heard from some of the witnesses that possibly was in the house on the day that Senzo Meyiwa was killed. But to take it a step further, possibly the man who pulled the trigger and the shot that ultimately killed Senzo Meyiwa. So what the evidence was all about is trying to show that this particular witness had dreadlocks just a day before Senzo Meyiwa was shot. And in fact, we saw some of those photos. I think there were more than 10, possibly even 20 photos of him that were taken from his phone, that were downloaded from his phone. And these were photos that the expert says were shot or taken from that device. So it shows that there were not photos that were downloaded elsewhere, but there were photos that were downloaded from his device, to suggest that he took those photos. So this tried to show that he had dreadlocks, number 1, and number 2, that he had a propensity to crime, that he was linked to criminality or acts of violent criminality. So the guns that we saw the state pointing to, we know that, of course, he was arrested on a charge of being in possession of an illegal firearm and ammunition. And, of course, they were trying to also show that there was money that, was taken. This is stacks of money, not just, few notes, but stacks and bags of money.
So I want to stop you there, because this is potentially crucial, because if one of the accused is showing bags and bags of money, it's one of 2 things. Because no ordinary citizen carries around bags and bags of cash, as far as I know. Certainly not in my world, probably not in yours either. But bags and bags of cash suggests either this is the loot from stealing from a lot of people, but that would be a ton of money over a lot of period of time, or it suggests it was payment for bumping someone off, which then creates a very different environment and starts to perhaps suggest that this may have been a hit. Am I right, or am I over-egging
I think, Sally, this is where exactly the state is going as far as this evidence is being laid. And, even though they have not quite, divulged how they plan to continue with this line of evidence. But I think what we're getting, or starting to get a sense of, is that the state is painting, a picture of these accused that had known each other prior to Senzo Meyiwa being killed. And one of these accused happened to have contact with Kelly Khumalo. And from that contact, this was just days before Senzo Meyiwa was shot. Yeah. And we're also hearing of this particular accused that had dreadlocks. And the description that was given by people in the house of one of the accused was that he had dreadlocks. And, so we seemingly, the state painting a picture of a possible hit, but I think we'll wait and see how that develops in court. But one thing that came out said that I must note is that today we got to hear from the lawyer representing accused number 3, saying that, in fact, they agree and they don't dispute the fact that there was accused number 3 that was in, those photos that had dreadlocks at that particular point. Okay,
so they're saying it with, in other words, they're admitting that it's his phone, admitting, I suppose, essentially as well that he's a criminal, because he talks about my killing machine, etc., etc. Am I right?
Well, Sally, it seems so, but I mean, the defense will disagree with that. They'll say that, they're just trying to show that he's not the man that was involved in this crime.
I'm going to play some bites in a moment of Senzo's friend, but I have to ask you, you've seen those photos. Those photos have not been released to the public. So we heard about the, Maya killing machine, the photos of the guns. I want you to explain in detail what the photo of the money looked like. Was it, just talk me through how much money it was. Did it look like a lot of money? What did the picture show you?
Sally, it's a lot of money, I can tell you that. I mean, there were various photos. It was not just only one photo of the money. I think there were about 4 of those photos. The first one, if I remember well, it's stacks of money. That's just bundled up in 100 rands, 200 rands, and 50 rands. And this is like a stack that's just sitting on a table like this high. And that's a photo of that. The second one, if I remember well, was a bag that had money. And I think this bag was about this big.
Sure.
That big and full of money. And the third photo also showed what appeared to be money that was stacked in some sort of a cupboard and also in stacks. So it's a lot of money. It's possibly thousands of rands, if not hundreds of thousands of rands by the looks of it. And of course, the caption that was on one of those bags was Impande Yesono, which is a Zulu saying that means the root of evil. And the other one was written Amagugu Mhlaba, which means the treasures of the world.
Wow.
So it seems like a celebration of, that, however it came to him. He appeared to have been celebrating. And also the guns that we saw, Sally, these are just not ordinary guns. Of course, there was a 9mm, and that 9mm was silver and gold. And this 9mm, I think, had been titled My Killing Machine. But we also got to see the next photo was not only 9mm, 1 or 2, there were about 2 of them, but also high caliber firearms, like guns, like R5 weapons, big guns. And there were about more than, I can say, even 8 of those guns in one picture. And this is where he said that these are machines that other men will envy.
Wow. We've got to play, we're just going to play the one bite from Mthokosizi Thwala, because, of course, he's testified before. He is, I think it's Senzo's friend from KZN, am I right? Quickly set up that bite for us and let's listen to it. All right.
Silong. Ngesikhathi sathi before sifike khona kuThilong uSenzo wayesaphefumula ngoba ngiyakhumbula ukuthi khona la ngambamba khona isandla ngifuna ukubona ukuthi uzosiwisa yini wayesibambile.
When we arrived there, before we arrived at Butilong, I held Senzo was still alive. Because I held his hand, I wanted to see whether he was gonna drop it or what, but he was still holding on.
Angisengibona kodwa ukuthi ngoba la sengihleli naye khona ngasatha khona isandla ngenza the very same thing kade ngiyenzile sisasendleleni, but isandla sasesiyela nokugaspa engasagaspi.
I could see that
usibona ukuthi hayi umphefumulo it's either usuyaphuma noma usuphumile la.
I could see that no, because I did the very same exercise I did before of holding the hand, but the hand just let go of the hand, and it was not even gasping anymore. You could see whether it was already dead or he was about to.
Base bamusa I think it's surgery room angazi ukuthi babizwa ngani after like 5-10 minutes
they took him to this surgery room. I don't know what they call it. After 5-10 minutes, the doctor came out. The doctor came out, asked for an elderly person. I think Kelly's mother went, and I followed. They then said that he's no more.
Yeah, I mean, what a rough day for him. Not once, but now twice, having to talk through the final moments of your best friend. Absolutely grueling there. What's happening tomorrow?
Well, so we're expecting the state to wrap up where it left off, of course, of the evidence of Mthokosizi Thwala about what happened moments after, but also cross-examination to begin possibly tomorrow from the defense.
All right, thank you so much for your coverage on the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial. That's our reporter, Manqoba Mchunu. Now,